This is Barry Zalma speaking for Claim School Incorporated's blog, Zalma on Insurance, and for Claim School Incorporated's twice-monthly newsletter, Zalma's Insurance Fraud Letter, this one for July 1, 2024, Volume 28, Number 13. The source for the insurance fraud professional. Zalma's Insurance Fraud Letter continues its 28th year of publication, dedicated to those involved in reducing the effect of insurance fraud. ZIFL is published 24 times a year by Claim School and is written by me. It's provided free to anyone who visits the site at the link created in the blog for Zalma's Insurance Fraud Letter. This issue will contain the following articles that are summarized below. First, an arsonist must serve his full sentence, and it is chutzpah, unmitigated gall, for a serial arsonist and insurance fraudster to request a shorter sentence. Arson-for-Profit is the most evil form of insurance fraud, where people may be injured or die as a result. Defendant Michael Thomas set fire to many properties in a mobile home park and then used the mail to collect insurance money. He was charged with 4 counts of mail fraud, went to trial, and the jury convicted him on all counts. The court sentenced him to a below-guidelines sentence of 90 months of imprisonment. His sentence was set to expire on February 11, 2025, and yet Mr. Thomas is currently under home confinement under the CARES Act, and he wants that removed. You can read the article and the full issue of ZIFL at the link provided. Next is an article on why insurers are continuing to act to defeat insurance fraud and why all of the GEICO companies continue their proactive actions against insurance fraud. That's because insurers have found that states like New York will do little or nothing to deter insurance fraud. Determined to protect its assets and its insureds, many GEICO brand insurance companies have acted proactively against people and healthcare providers who are attempting to defraud them and their insureds. In a case entitled Government Employees Insurance Company et al. Versus Colin Clark, M.D. et al., the United States District Court for the Eastern District of New York on June 20, 2024, concluded that the fraud perpetrators' attempt to defeat GEICO's RICO action by counterclaiming that GEICO had committed fraud in working to defeat their acts was interesting and fully explained at the article in the full issue of ZIFL at the link provided in the blog. Then we speak about more McClenny, Mosley, and Associates issues. This is ZIFL's 30th installment of the saga of McClenny, Mosley, and Associates and its problems with the federal courts of the state of Louisiana and what appears to be an effort to profit from what some magistrate and district judges indicate may be criminal conduct to profit from insurance claims relating to hurricane damage to the public of the state of Louisiana, with new orders from the Louisiana federal courts, including information from 2 decisions of the courts slapping down MMA and requiring it to pay sanctions and attorney's fees. Next, we talk about the Compact Book of Adjusting Property Claims, 4th edition, which was recently published and is available from Amazon.com. The next article dealt with an insurance fraud report from Forbes Advisors, with an article adapted from an article by Forbes Advisors that relies in great part on estimates of insurance fraud from the Coalition Against Insurance Fraud and the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, showing how insurance fraud continues to grow in its attempts to take as much money as possible from the insurance industry and the federal government's quasi-insurance programs like Medicare, Medicaid, and even the crop insurance programs. Then we list health insurance fraud convictions, starting with a story about a Wellesley, Massachusetts psychiatrist who was sentenced to over 8 years in prison for $19 million in a fraud scheme that billed insurance companies for thousands of services he never provided. Gustavo Kinris, 53, of Wellesley, Massachusetts, was sentenced by U.S. District Judge Denise J. Casper to 99 months in prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. Kinris was also ordered to pay restitution and forfeiture in an amount to be determined at a later hearing. In October of 2023, following a jury trial, Kinris was convicted of 7 counts of wire fraud, 6 counts of false statements relating to health care matters, and 1 count of obstructing a criminal health care provider. You can read that full article and dozens of fraud convictions for health care fraud by multiple people, physicians and hospitals involved in defrauding the United States government as well as insurance companies. Then we have an article about how the state of Louisiana has enacted statutes concerning the regulation of litigation finances. Governor Jeff Landry signed a bill on June 19, and it will become law the 1st of August 2024. His predecessor, Democrat John Bel Edwards, last year vetoed more expansive litigation that would have generally required third-party funding disclosures in civil cases, and now it will be the law. You can read about this article and the full issue of ZIFL at the link provided in the blog. Then we have a list of convictions of other than health insurance fraud, starting with the story of a former Camarillo, California insurance agent who was sentenced to 16 years in prison and $1.2 million in restitution in a scheme to defraud seniors. Brett E. Lovett, 53, a former licensed insurance agent, was sentenced on June 19, 2024 to 16 years and 8 months in jail after being found guilty of 29 felony counts, including grand theft, elder abuse, money laundering, and burglary. A 15-month California Department of Insurance investigation found he defrauded at least 9 victims, including senior citizens, of close to $1.2 million. You can read the full article at the link provided in the blog. Then we have an article on categories of fraud, because although insurance fraud is probably the second most participated in fraud in the United States, fraud is so common that it can be categorized in countless ways. Fundamentally, every type of fraud is either organizational or individual, and all of these categories are used by insurance fraud perpetrators. So you can read that full article as well as the entire issue of Zalma's Insurance Fraud Letter at the link provided. Thank you for your attention, and please consider subscribing to Zalma's Insurance Fraud Letter as well as to my blog, Zalma on Insurance, at the links provided. And if you do, you will get notice of every blog posting and every issue of ZIFL without cost to anyone. And if you're interested in further detail about insurance, insurance claims, insurance fraud, and insurance law, please consider, for a very small fee, subscribing to my Substack publications. Thank you for your attention.